Hi everyone, welcome back to the Brush by Brandy YouTube channel. This week we are working on this piece that's behind me, and this has been a really fun process for me. So every once in a while I get asked to work with an interior designer, and that's what I'm doing here. So these are actually going to be custom pieces that are going in a beautiful bedroom suite that's being completely redesigned for the dreams of this customer. And so I'm interacting with the interior decorator, and he's giving me what this customer would like. I've gotten samples of her wallpaper, of bed fabric that's going to be on this, and I use those to choose my paint colors. I also got some cues from the customer on some different floral options that she would like, and so I've got a couple different transfers here that I'm going to employ to try to bring in those colors that she's after. And this is a great way, you guys. I'm actually painting a brand new piece of furniture, but this is a great way that you can get custom pieces of furniture. It's not all the time that you can walk into a store and find exactly what you're after. And so when you're doing a space like this, painted pieces are the perfect way to get exactly what you want. So let's go ahead and make this piece over completely. It's in process right now, but it's going to be much prettier when we're done. So I don't know about you guys, but I've had this piece of furniture saved in my Pinterest board for years, and now I finally get to get my hands on one to give a makeover to. I know you guys are going to think I'm crazy for making over a brand new piece of furniture, but when an interior designer wants a custom made piece to exactly meet their specifications, this is what we do. So here's where I started on this piece. This was sent to me brand new in the package by the interior decorator. They ordered it online and had it mailed to my location. All the distressing that's on this piece is original to the factory finish, and it came already assembled. The first thing I'm going to do is remove all of this beautiful hardware and save it for later. This hardware has a beautiful original finish, but my decorator wants it to match the metal finishes that are going to be in the room, so we're going to make a few changes to these later. The next thing I need to do is give this a thorough cleaning. I know this is a brand new piece, but coming from the factory, it can have oils and residues on it from the manufacturing process. So I want to make sure that I remove those with a good cleaning. I'm using Green Ease Cleaner. I put some gloves on my hand, and I'm going to go ahead and scrub this one down using a scrubby sponge. You'd be surprised what can come off an existing piece of furniture. Even ones that look the most clean can have residues on them from fingers, from oils, and things over time. After I've scrubbed over this with my cleaner, I went ahead and rinsed it with water so that it's a nice clean surface with no cleaning residue on it either. This is one of the most important steps of the process. Any residue left on your surface can keep the paint from adhering. Next, I added a soft sponge to my Surf Prep sander, and I'm going to go ahead and scuff this piece up. This is a brand new factory finish on it that's lightly glossy, and I want to take that down to give some bite to my paint. This is a light sanding with a 120 grit paper that I'm just using to take some of the gloss off. I don't want to go all the way down to the wood, and I definitely don't want to remove my existing finish. This piece is actually one in a matching set that I'm doing. These are asymmetrical pieces, so they're not identical, but I'm going to put the same finishes on them to make a match set. With them all cleaned, I did go ahead and apply 2 coats of a primer from Wiesel paint. This is also going to help my paint to adhere better. I also love how paint applies over a coat of primer, and I feel like it gives a much more professional finish. Because these are brand new pieces going in a custom decorated home, I don't want to skimp on any of my prep process. It's going to take 2 coats of my paint to cover over this primer, so let's go ahead and put this second coat on together. For this project, I'm using 2 colors of Wiesel Chalk Synthesis paint, and these colors are called Restoration and Isles Avenue. These are 2 very similar colors. They're monochromatic, but just a slight tone off of each other. This is going to give me this soft highlight that I want without being too overdramatic. I start by applying the Restoration around the outside of edges of my piece, and then I'm going to apply the Isles Avenue to the center, and I'm going to work these 2 colors together for a soft highlight in the middle. There's a nice bow front on this piece that I'm going to accentuate using this paint finish. It's just meant to look like the light is shining off the front of that bow ever so slightly. Once I've got that highlight of the white in the center, I'm going to use a big block brush from Klingon Brushes, and this brush is amazing for blending. It gives a beautiful effect and makes the job so much easier. This brush does have a handle. I've removed the handle from mine just for easy holding, and I'm going to use it to brush over where those 2 paint colors meet and slowly start working them together. You can see as I brush through this using this big block brush that line between the 2 paint colors starts to disappear, and it just becomes a subtle highlight. This is the goal anytime you're blending 2 colors together, to just make that line that differentiates them ever so slight. With the blend on the front of my piece complete, I always paint the inside edges of my drawers as well, and I'm going to make this match the same colors that appear on the outside spaces on my furniture piece. So where there's a blend, I also blend the inside edges of the drawer. Here are the fabric and wallpaper samples that were sent to me by this designer. This is what I'm trying to match and where I got my color inspiration from. Now that my paint is all dry, I went ahead and sealed it with a coat of clear coat, and that's because I want to apply some glaze to this. So I just brushed on a clear coat. It's not my final clear coat, but it's enough to protect that paint so I can apply the glaze and wipe it back easily. Chalky style paints are porous, and that means that they will absorb whatever you put over top of them. So if I applied this dark glaze without having that clear coat underneath, the paint would want to absorb it and I wouldn't be able to wipe it away. Wiping glaze away is an important step in the process, so that's why I went ahead and made sure my paint was all sealed before this glaze went on. I'm using Glaze, and this color is the perfect tone. It's a brown, but it's not too dark. It has a little bit of gray undertones in it, and it's going to be the perfect accent to this. With these paint colors, if you choose the wrong glaze, it can almost make it look dirty, and that's not my goal here. I really just want it to go in the low points of all these details and make them stand out. I started by applying a coat of my glaze over the top of all my details, and then I wiped the glaze back using a dry rag, and now I'm coming back with a wet wipe to clean it up and give me nice, clean, crisp glaze. Next, I created a custom color of wax that kind of coordinates with my glaze. I mixed a little bit of black wax and white wax together to give me a soft gray. I brush a thin line of my gray wax into the innermost crevices of my piece, and then I'm going to use a slightly fluffy brush to sort of smudge out that wax. I'm using very little wax on this piece. It really takes very little to get these smudgy details, especially over light colors like I used on this piece. You can see how softly I'm applying this wax and the little subtle detail that it gives. It just adds a little bit of shading to some of those details. Pieces like this that are very monochromatic are all about the subtle details. That's how you draw your eye into the depths and recesses of a furniture piece. With all of my glaze and my wax done, let's pay attention to some of this original hardware. I did go ahead and clean this just like I did the furniture piece, and now I'm going to apply some white gold gilding wax over the top. I really like the original bronze color of this hardware, and I don't want to change it too much, so I'm just going to apply a little bit of this white gold gilding wax, and that's because it's going to match the metal pieces that are in this room. So that's going to be the lamps and the legs of the bed are all metal, and they're in this white gold color. By leaving the original bronze underneath, it gives me some of that contrast too, so that you really notice how detailed this hardware is. Once this is done, I went ahead and sprayed these in a clear lacquer to protect the wax. So now for the pop of color on these pieces, the neutral backdrop that I created is perfect to set off a little bit of floral detail. Because this is a room being worked on by an interior decorator, I went ahead and sent pictures of a huge variety of floral transfers to the decorator and the customer so that they could choose what colors they wanted to put on these pieces. They came back with some very specific colors that they wanted to use, so my rules were absolutely no red, some pops of pink, and nice bold florals. The customer chose 2 floral transfers that she loved, and I incorporated both onto this project. On the front, I'm going to be using this one transfer, and I'm going to be piecing pieces together to really accentuate each one. I'm doing a desk and this nightstand that are going to flank either side of a bed, and so I want to place the transfer so that they're not hidden when they're next to the bed. Meaning on this nightstand, I place my florals over to one side, and on the desk, I'm going to place them to the other side. So when they're on each side of the bed, they're not hidden by the mattress. I dry fit my area into the area that I want it to be, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut it around the drawer frame. I'm going to rub this transfer on using the stick that comes in the package with the transfer, and then I'm going to pull away the clear backing sheet as I go. The front of this piece has a molding that outlines the drawers, and so I use my fingers to wrap that molding, and then I'm just going to slice my transfer around it. This gives a really custom look when the transfer is made to fit around the edges of a molding. This transfer was great for this project too because it comes in a variety of pieces, and so I was able to cut out each piece and fit them together to really fit the furniture piece. I actually prefer transfers that come in buildable designs like this that I can cut apart and really piece together any way that I want. I absolutely love how the different shades of purple are set off by this neutral color backdrop. I rarely get to see the finished spaces that my pieces go into, but I can envision this flanking each side of a linen colored bed. After spraying this piece in 2 coats of matte varnish and reattaching my hardware, this is complete, and I love this finished look. My absolute favorite part is how those beautiful flowers stand out against these neutrals. What do you guys think? Keep an eye out for the tutorial on the sister piece to this nightstand coming soon on my YouTube channel. As always, you can find links for everything I use in the description for this post. You can find more Brush by Brandy on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube, and on my website at brushbybrandy.com. And don't forget to click that subscribe button.